Greetings to everyone from beautiful downtown Chattanooga. It is a gorgeous day here. I hope it is where you are. Okay, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about linen and towel reuse programs, an important initiative for sustainability, but it's not as easy as you may first think it is. And I think this is a very complementary conversation to the ones we've had earlier about how to reduce the cost of the chemicals in the water and the heat and all those elements in cleaning your linen. This part is complementary to that in that it's just simply how to wash less. So we've been talking about how to wash better. Now let's just talk about how to wash less. Elements of success to a good linen program, obviously, are good guest participation and good housekeeping participation. What encourages the best guest participation? What we'll look at is the effectiveness of the message type, the type of program, whether it's an opt-in or opt-out, and we'll talk about that in just a second, guest incentives, and then we'll talk about what's effective in getting housekeeping participation, training and monitoring, and then we'll talk a little bit about energy savings. Okay, what is an effective message type? I borrowed this from Cornell University School of Hotel Administration. They did a study, or a series of studies, using a hotel in Arizona, which they did not name, looking at the different messages and how effective they were in encouraging the reuse of towels. This did not include bed sheets or linens, just the towels. So they tested 6 different message types. One is help save the environment. We've all seen those. The other was help save resources for our future generations. We've all seen those. Partner with us to help save the environment. What the partner with us to help save the environment says essentially is if you will help us save money, then we'll make a contribution to a socially worthwhile or environmentally worthwhile cause. Number 4 was help the hotel save energy. Number 5 is we're doing our part for the environment. Can we count on you to help us? And what that means is what they say in this message, and I'll give the full text of that in a minute, is we are already making a contribution to a sustainably worthwhile organization. Would you help us defray those costs by helping us save linen? And then the 6th one is 75% of the guests who stayed in this room participated in our new resource savings program. Won't you join them? So what is the effectiveness of that? I'll give you about 5 seconds to think what you might think is the most and least effective, and I bet that's going to be pretty intuitive. Oh, the percentages jump around a little bit. Help save the environment, help save resources for future generations, and partner with us to help save the environment. All had about a 30% cooperation rate. As you might expect, help the hotel save energy wasn't real encouraging to a lot of folks. As a matter of fact, I'm consider myself to be a tree hugger or a capitalist tree hugger, and I find that message kind of offensive. The ones that were really effective are we are doing our part for the environment. Can we count on you? And what they say here, as I said, is we are already making a contribution. Will you help us defray that? And the 47% on the 75% of the guests who stayed in this room. So those 2 had, in the Cornell study at least, the most response, the most cooperation. And it's interesting that from the least responsive, the 16%, to the most responsive, the 47%, almost a tripling of the increase of the cooperation. So the message is the first message. It's very important how you communicate to your guests what you're going to be saying to them. This issue of if you're saving money, then shouldn't you lower your guest room costs, that can be addressed also by questions number 5 and 6, or I'm sorry, messages 5 and 6. So we got a good message. What type of program do we use to be most effective, opt-in or opt-out? In an opt-in program, the guest has to take some action to prevent the linens from being washed. If you place this card on your bed, we will not wash your linens. In an opt-out program, the guest must take some action to have the linens washed. If you want your linens washed, place this card on your bed. If you want your linens washed, hang this card on your door. So one way the guest has to do something to keep his linens from being washed. The other way the guest has to do something to get his linens washed. As you might expect, in an opt-in situation where the guest I just lost my train of thought. In the opt-in situation where the guest has to do something to keep the linens from being washed, that only has about a 30% cooperation. In an opt-out situation where the guest has to do something to keep his linens from getting washed. I'm saying this backwards. The opt-out has about a 70% cooperation rate. Where the guest has to do something to keep his linens from being washed, that has about a 70% cooperation rate. Notice that the cooperation percentage for towels in the Cornell study are much lower than the information for linens. It's reasonable that this is a reality. And the Cornell study was on towels, not linens, and also the Cornell study was very restrictive about how they measured cooperation. For example, towels left on door hangers or on handles were washed, whereas you would think that they would not be washed. You also need to make it easy and comfortable and pleasant for your guests to use the program. Is there a bar to hang the towels on, or just shelves or the shower ride? Would you want to reuse this towel? This is from a hotel that I stayed at fairly recently, and even a highly motivated guest is not going to be happy when they come back to the room to a soggy towel. In this bathroom, this was the only place to hang a towel on the door or on the doorknob, and this towel would not be dry for the next use. What if 2 towels had been used? Then they would be really wet, and conscientious housekeepers will not want to leave this towel in this bathroom like this. So what works best? Guest incentives. Starwood's Make a Green Choice program gives guests a choice of not only opting out of towels and linen replacement, but also of all housekeeping for a day, and they'll either give them a $5 gift certificate or 500 Starwood points. There's no real data on the results of how effective that is yet. So, what encourages the best guest participation? Obviously, the best message. Opt-out is more than twice effective as opt-in, and make it as easy and pleasant by providing adequate hangers. And stay tuned for more information on the guest incentive program. I'm going to spend just a fair second on this. How do you get your housekeeping to participate with you? Well, it's the same way you get your housekeeping and all of the folks that work with you to participate in all of your programs. It's very important because, first, without housekeeping participation, the mechanics themselves aren't going to work. And also, guests become very cynical if they try to use the program and try to cooperate, and then to come back and all their towels have been washed. So this is just typical. Use encouragement, explain the program to them, try to get buy-in from this and all of your sustainability initiatives, and also be sure that they are trained in their language and that they sign off on the training sheets, and that it should be written in their language so they know for sure what they're signing off on. This still needs to be managed. Even if encouragement works to get the best housekeeping, it still needs to be managed. Periodically monitor the compliance. One of the things that I find particularly intriguing is if the program requires guests to hang the card on the doorknob indicating their wishes, then if your supervisors can quickly walk down the hall, and from seeing the tags hanging on the doorknob, they can tell how many sheets should be washed and how many sheets should not be washed. It'd be easy then to follow up and see how well the housekeeping staff is complying with that. Some hotels will put a small dot in the corner of the sheet and then come back and check later to see if that dot is still there, to see if it has been washed, if it was supposed to have been, or has not been washed, if it was not supposed to have been. But I think the cooperation and the encouragement and the monitoring are the more effective ones. So what are the potential cost savings for this? Anecdotally, folks tell me that they can save typically about 30% with good compliance. Mathematically, it depends on the cooperation and the average days per stay. Assume that you've got 20% cooperation overall and a 2.5-day average stay. Potential savings are 1.5 days, that's your potential saving, divided by a 2.5-day saving equals 60% opportunity for savings. Take that 60% opportunity times a 20% compliance rate, that's a 12% reduction in cost. Or look at a much higher rate of cooperation, the 70% rate of cooperation, and a 2.5-day average stay. Again, you've got the 1.5 days potential divided by the 2.5 days of the overall stay, equals 60% opportunity again, times a 70% compliance equals a 42% reduction. So you can save a lot of energy, you can save a lot of money, a lot of water, a lot labor, a lot of everything, and particularly all this relates to going back and to be more environmentally preferable and more environmentally sustainable. All these reductions are in all these areas, and you can do that by the way you operate your system, the way you operate your program, the way you train your folks, and then in this example, of course, by reducing the amount of linens and towels that you're using overall. Thank you.